Hey people, um, so this is what happened. A few weeks ago, I got a visitor. I had a visitor in my classroom. It was a science math teacher from another school. And, in the little bit amount of time that we were talking, we exchanged so much information and so many resources that it got me thinking that over the years I have compiled this huge list of things, resources, online resources, and techniques that I use in my classroom to teach my fifth grade science class. And it's all good, it's all organized, but it's in here, and it's no good in here. So I thought about making a video and share at least what I currently use in my classroom to teach my fifth grade science class. So this is thanks to you, Mr. Garcia, and I'll copy you with a link. Now, here's the deal: a few caveats or a few warnings. Number one, I intended this video to be, or I intend this video to be long. I mean, to be short, but I know myself. Once I get started talking about the websites and this and that, this is going to be a long video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to create time marks with the names of the resources. So for example, if 3 minutes and 10 seconds I start talking about, I don't know, one of them, then I'll create a timestamp so that you can fast forward there. Number two, um, some of these resources are exclusively for science or math, but a lot of them can be used across the board. Reading, social studies, whatever you teach, you can actually find some use. Number three, a lot of the online resources, well, some of the online resources that I use um, are you can maximize their use if you are running Google Classroom in your room. Now, I know for a long time I hated Google Classroom. I still do a little bit, um, but I've been training my students in Google Classroom, and you have to realize my students, when I get them to in fifth grade, their computer literacy and their internet literacy is very, very low. So oftentimes I even have to go through the basics of how to turn on a computer, believe it or not. So it does take a lot of time and a lot of setup. But once they get it, they are up and running, and I'm finding that it is a good way to assign tasks, assign jobs, especially for tier ones that you want to, you don't want to ignore them, or you want to keep them, on track, but you really need the time for the tier twos and tier threes. So you assign work to them. They feel important. They feel like they are doing some high end stuff because they're on the computer and in Google Classrooms, and they take it by themselves, and they go all the way. So I've been finding out that with my tier ones, it's a good tool, while you know gives me time to deal with my other students. There was another thing that I wanted to say. Some of these resources do require you to be a little bit of a techie, not a techie, but to spend some time just trying to master the resource before you can actually uh, get it get it to or maximize its potential. Anyway, with that said, I'm gonna go. This is how I organize this. I have a PowerPoint here, and I created three columns. I'm gonna talk about the digital resources that I use. These first two columns. Then I'm gonna talk about the literary resources that I use, and then the miscellaneous things that I do in my classroom. I'm gonna be clicking in and out of this PowerPoint, and I'm going to Chrome, where I have all of these tabs here to show you each and every one of these things. Oh, the last huge warning. It's not a warning. It's a thing to keep in mind. None of these resources, none of them, not one, can I call my curriculum for teaching. Not even STEMScopes, and certainly not Fusion. I use all of them, but I have my own thing. And I truly advise, if you're a new teacher coming into, I mean, if this email just happened to land on your desk and you're a new teacher teaching science, my best advice, and I think it would be the same advice of any uh, uh, teacher out there who's been here for longer than I have, is to, you know, use the teaks as a baseline. Learn to unpack those teaks and then do your own thing. Create your own curriculum. And even if you're a fifth grade science teacher and you have to create a curriculum for the fourth and the third grade teacher to teach what you need them to teach, so that when those kids go up to you, they know exactly what you need them to know to elevate their thinking. Um, do that. Do your own thing, and use all of these as complements for that curriculum or supplements or whatever. But I do use my own set of lessons that I've created, and they don't come from any specific source. I'm not one of those. I'm not one to download a lesson from the internet and just use that lesson. I've built my own lessons, and I do my own thing. So with that said, let's get on with it. You see, I told you I'm gonna start talking. Oh, one last thing. I'm using these new, and I'm gonna talk about this in a minute. I'm using this new software to record myself and the desktop, and it's a new resource that I usually use Google Chrome, but it's becoming too. I mean, they put time restraints and all of that. And anyway, I downloaded this. I just downloaded it, and I haven't tweaked the settings. And I think there's a bit of a lag between the audio and the video. So I don't know. Maybe at some point you'll see the audio go way, way. I mean, before the video or after the video. I don't know. I may seem like those Japanese movies where you kind of hear the sound in the video later. But anyway, it's just I haven't taken the time to tweak the settings. So here we go. Let's go to the PowerPoint. Let's talk about these first three: Manycam, Flashback, Xpress, and Hitfilm. This is exactly what I was talking to you about right now. I am recording myself through my on my webcam and recording the desktop using Flashback Xpress. Okay, let me show you Flashback Xpress. Let me go here, and it is this thing. It's free. Of course, it has a paid version, but I'm using the free version, and it is a video. It is a video tool to do this precisely: record yourself, record the desktop, and edit. Now, on the free version, you cannot edit. So, this video I'm not gonna edit. I'm just gonna upload it as it is. So, if I mess up, I'm just gonna backtrack and fix it. But I'm not gonna edit. And because this one doesn't, the free version of Flashback doesn't edit, that's where I use Hitfilm. Now, Hitfilm, it's here. Hitfilm is a free online editing software, and you want to get the Xpress one, this one. This one is the free one. It has a pro version. So whenever I do a video for my kids, for my students, and I want to edit some effects, or I want to cut the, I don't want to, while I'm recording it, I don't want to have to stop if I make a mistake. I bring it here to Hitfilm Xpress, and then I edit the video so that they see exactly what I want them to see. So that's Hitfilm, and that's Flashback. Flashback is to record yourself and the desktop, and Hitfilm is to edit whatever you do if you want to edit. Now, Manycam is this thing that you see down here. Manycam is awesome because it allows me to create live effects while I'm teaching. For example, let's see that I'm creating a video for them on circuits, right? And I want to, at some point in time, my voice kind of becomes monotone, and I want to keep them engaged, so I can, I don't know, give them rewards with this. Well, not that one, but I can, I don't know, put something like that. Uh, if I think they're answering a question correctly, or I can use one of these. I don't like this. Or I can use a poop emoji. I don't know why, but and there's a lot of other things, wonderful things. For example, you can download. Oh, by the way, I'm looking to the side because I have a 3 monitor setup here, and I'm working on these two. So you can download stuff from the internet. For example, I downloaded bacon, a photograph of JPEG of bacon, because I was at some point in time, I think when I was discussing thermal energy or something, I needed a photo of bacon. You can download GIFs and use GIFs with them, and this is pretty cool. Check this out. You can use face accessories. For example, I can teach to them about density using a paper bag in my head. So it's pretty cool, and they like it. You know, they giggle. Or I can have a long beard. And these ones are even cooler, but sometimes they make the whole app crash. Remember, this is a free app. So let me see if it works. Okay, hold on. Oh, it's not working. It puts a mask. Oh, here we go. So a solution is to make sure where the components lose their physical identities. I don't know. I mean, so anyway, and this one is pretty cool too. Check this out. Oh, I am here to tell you that you can. I like it. The kids like it. I do a lot of stuff with this with them. Now here's the thing. The version of Manycam that I'm using is the paid one, because after using it for a while, I realized that the paid one does provide a lot of things that I can use for engagement. So I paid the I think it's $29 a year. So it's not much. So anyway, Manycam, Flashback, Hitfilm, Xpress. If you're interested in doing all of this, and let me tell you why or how I use these tools. I have 4 sections, right? I see every single fifth grader, bilinguals and ESLs. So I have 2 sections with 25, 26 students, and then 2 sections with 17, 15, 16, something like that. So a lot of times, if I want to truly do personalized instruction or small group instruction effectively, I need to get some of my students to work by themselves. Now, even tier 1 students, high achieving students, if they become bored, they'll disrupt the class, right? So I use these as a way to create activities for them while they feel that I'm still with them. So I sit them down on a computer, I create a video, and I give them the instructions on the video. I use Google Classrooms, and you're gonna go here and here and here, and if you need to ask a question about this and that, then go to the minute 7 on this video, and you'll hear me talk about the instructions there. Anyway, it has a lot of versatility, and I use it quite often. The other way I use this, if you look here in the miscellaneous column, it says oral admin with computers. So I have so many students that either benefit or need oral administration because it's in their documentation, that I don't have time, and I hate to be given a test, be it a Friday test or a common assessment or whatever. I just hate to be going table by table reading questions, because it's not effective. I mean, let's be real here. It doesn't work. So what I do is, the day prior to the test, I record myself just like this. I take a snapshot of each question. I put them on a PowerPoint. I make a video. If you don't know how to do it, if you're doing a PowerPoint just like you always do, you go here to slideshow, and if you click here, record slideshow, it gives you the opportunity to use this setup to record yourself. So what I do is I record myself reading the question, trying to do it in a very mechanical voice, so that I don't, hint at possible answers. I read the questions, I read the answers, and I instruct them to pause the video, think about the question, do their strategies, and then press play to continue. I mean, I sit them on the computers and I forget about them, because it's like, they can rewind, they can fast forward, they can go back to a question. It works wonders for me. So anyway, and it's not difficult. Maybe the first time that you do it, it's a little complicated. You need one of these. Well, you don't need one of these. You can do it even with the cell phone thing, but this kind of setup works. So anyway, let's go down the list. Obviously, Think Central. I had to put it here because I don't know who's going to see this video. So if you go to Clever, you know that you can click here on Think Central, and it'll take you to your account. You have an account, and I give the Fusion book a lot of flack, but it is a good resource. It has some good worksheets there, and their articles about application are good. I use some of them, but I do not use this as my main teaching curriculum. As I said, I don't use any of them. So you go here to 5th grade and to science here, and you have all of the resources and there's a wealth of resources here that you can use. So there you go, Think Central. That's provided by the district. So STEMScopes. Now, STEMScopes, maybe 3-4 years ago, it was my main source. It's a great resource. I have it here. It's a great resource. It's a very comprehensive resource. I like the fact that they go straight to the teak. Because the thing about the Fusion book is that it has the information. It has a lot of the information that they need to know when you unpack the teak, but it lacks some. And then it has a lot of stuff that, me as a science guy, as a science person, I want them to know all these things. But there's a harsh reality to what we do. We have time constraints. We have to take care of the test, and we have to make sure that they know exactly what they need to know to answer those STAR questions. So I remember my first year, I started, I found so much good information that I started teaching so much, and by the end of the first 6 weeks period, I hadn't finished with my TEKs. And so I learned to be concise and to streamline my teaching. But right now, and even next year, I don't see myself. Well, I could teach without STEMScopes, but I use so much of their resources, and the fact that I can create classes and send my students to STEMScopes and to work by themselves, it's a great thing. This is their dashboard. They arrange their content by TEK, and as you can see, I only have the 5th grade platform, but because the 5th grade test contains so many of the previous TEKs, I do have access to 3rd grade TEKs and 4th grade TEKs. So it's a pretty good resource. And here's the thing: if you're gonna get STEMScopes, my advice, push it a little bit further in terms of asking for money, and ask your administrator to get the online platform and the literary platform, because each kid is going to receive 3 books, a textbook. It is a textbook. It is this thick, and it has exactly what they need to know. Exactly. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's theirs, and it's consumable. They can write in it. It has the reading companion. That is huge for me. It is a collection of texts of articles in 2 different lexile levels per subject, for them to read and answer comprehension questions and write about it. It's awesome, because, for example, if you're teaching circuits, it has an article on circuits with a lower lexile level that they can read, go and answer comprehension questions, and go and do a writing part. And then it has another one with a higher Lexile level. So I mean that alone is worth I think it's $500 more or something like that. And then they receive the lab notebook. Now the lab notebook I use, but I do my own ISN, Interactive Science Notebook. So we use some of the sheets from the notebook. Anyway, I think the whole setup, STEMScopes setup for me for 5th grade was like $1,700. If you think about it, that's not much compared to what other resources out there cost. So STEMScopes, there you go. Google Classroom, as I said before in the intro, I'm using Google Classroom a lot more now. And if you don't know, if you are like me, maybe a year ago that you hated Google Classroom and you didn't know how to use it, well, it's pretty simple. Once you're logged in on your Dallas ISD account, you just click here and you go to your Google Classroom. And there you'll be able to set up your classes. This class is incomplete. Anyway, you'll be able to set up your classes by inviting your students, and it's like a notebook. I mean, it's like saying to them, hey, go sit on a desk, open your notebook, and on your notebook, you're going to find every single worksheet and instructions that I want you to do, but on a computer. So they go to Google Classroom, and there I post tasks, jobs, homework, whatever. It has some of a learning curve because, the kids can get crazy clicking away. And they get lost in the whole Google mechanism, which is the thing I hate. But I mean, it's pretty awesome, So I, excuse me, I highly recommend using Google Classrooms. Now, if you have a completely digital classroom, I mean, if each one of your kid has a device, I mean, there's no excuse for you not to be using Google Classroom. I'm not that lucky. I hope that I hope to be pretty soon because I have a few donor choose projects going on. But I have 7 computers in my classroom, so I use this as a small as a station or small group. I send 7 students out there to do their thing while I deal with the other ones. Okay, so I'm not going to go into Google Classroom because that alone takes several hours. Learning Farm. This I'm excited to introduce to those of you who don't know about. I mean, by the way, I know that some of you know a lot of these resources, so that's why I am creating the timestamps so that you don't have to hear me talking about something that you already know. However, I do in what I'm going to say about each and every one of them, I'm going to say a few things that I have discovered. Because, for example, I was talking to another teacher that used one of my resources, and she didn't know that she could do this as well with it. And once she found out through our conversation, she was like, oh, I didn't know that I could do that, because it solved the problem for her. So anyway, Learning Farm is something I discovered a while ago when they were starting up. I've been using Learning Farm, I think, since their startup, and it has become a fantastic tool. I mean, when they started up, they let me try the beta version free. Then they started charging $50 a year per teacher per 100 licenses, 100 student licenses. So there were a few years where I paid $50 a year. And by the way, I would always pay it myself because it was kind of my administrators didn't want to pay. Well, I shouldn't say that. They had a lot of reservations for paying, with paying for a resource that wasn't proven, wasn't aligned, because this wasn't aligned, but it is right now. Anyway, so long story short, I paid for a few years, and this is basically kind of a lower Education Galaxy thing, where the kids, you can build assignments, worksheets, digital worksheets, tests, and practice runs for students using their bank of questions. And they get to answer a few questions and then play a game for a short time, a minute or 90 seconds. Pretty much like Education Galaxy. It gives you stats. It gives you everything that All in Learning gave us once they finish, and it is finally aligned with the TEKS. I mean, it is an option. So a lot of their questions have become very, very good for us here in Texas because it's now aligned. Now, here's the deal. When I was, and this is why I'm excited, when I was getting ready to pay for my current subscription, I mean, for my subscription for this academic year, I found out that I'm logging in here with Google. I found out that they got some kind of grant, I don't even remember. I mean, I don't even know what they got, but they are able to offer one free teacher's license, which includes 100 student licenses, free if you are a Title I school. So if you are a Title I school, just fill out the application, and choose the school, and in about 1 or 2 days they'll come back to you with a free account that includes 100 student licenses. So here's the dashboard. As you can see, I have my all of my classes here. I have access to all grade levels because since I've been with them since the beginning, they kind of I don't know if this is their way of thanking me. But anyway, I've talked to a few other people, and they only have access to their grade level. I have access. I'm like an administrator. So anyway, it has a live view where you can actually see how they're doing. It tracks their progress. I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's free. I mean, it's not near where STEMScopes is, or Education Galaxy for that matter. This started, I think, in university. So, but it's free. I mean, okay. So let's go back here. I don't even know why I put this there, but in case you don't know, you can use YouTube and Brainpop. I've Brainpop, I almost don't use anymore. I use it mainly for my tier 3s and my bottom tier 2 students. I don't know, but the way educational systems are going, we're teaching these children things that I don't know I learned when I was in high school. So Brainpop seemed to me oftentimes, more often than not, too basic for 5th grade. However, it's not for tier 3s, so I still use it for that. Now, Phet simulations. These, you have to get into it. I mean, if you don't know what Phet simulations are, you have to find this website. It's free. It's from the University of Colorado. I don't know how long it would stay free. This is just for science and math, and it is a collection that keeps growing and growing, because the way this works is that their computer programming department does these simulations as projects for their students. So every time a student has a project, they create a simulation, they add it here, and these are awesome. For example, I'm gonna show you, and there are very basic ones, and then there are some, like, for example, I'm gonna go to math, area model algebra. I'm clicking here. It gives you this link. You can open. They work with Flash, Java, HTML. So you have to have those 3 drivers updated on each computer, because otherwise it's going to start giving you problems. So for example, if you're just going to explore, here is where they can learn to use the app or the game. You see, they can see what happens with the dimensions and with the total area, and and then they can actually go to the lab, which is questions. They get to actually answer questions. Now, for example, that's math. I'm going to show you this one. This one's pretty great. Circuit builder. I know there's a bunch of circuit builders, but this one's pretty good. My computer is slow because I have so many things open. But here it goes. I can use a battery, and I can use wire to create a a closed circuit, and in this case, I'm going to create a series circuit. I'm going to create a series circuit. Boom, boom. There it is, a series circuit. It shows the journey of the electrons. You can use switches. You can use resistors, which I am teaching my students. You can test insulators and conductors. It's pretty cool. You can use a voltmeter. I mean, you give this to a tier 1 student with a worksheet of things that he has to build. Man, he's there for the hour. So this one is pretty cool. I adore. I mean, I absolutely adore their density one. So I'm gonna do a density. I'll do a quick search here. Density. This thing has helped them to visualize density in a great way. Oh, by the way, if you're opening up these simulators and it asks you to update Java or Flash or whatever, just do it, because you will need the updated version. So here's density. You have many forms of playing the game or the simulation. For example, you can do same mass. So here I have blocks of same mass, right? And I put the 5 kg one and it floats. But then I've put this one, which is smaller volume, and it sinks. So there we can start a conversation about why. Why do you think it's a difference? And I remember this was a question a few years ago in STAR. What is different between these two blocks? Obviously, they have to come up with the notion that they should be made of different materials, because if they weight the same, if they have the same mass, and one floats and one doesn't, so it must be that. You can play with the same volume, same density, but different volume and different masses. And then they can try a mystery one, and they can get to weigh it themselves. And this thing is pretty cool. And then you can use just one to change here the mass and the volume. You can change to ice. What happens with ice? It doesn't matter how big it is, how much does it weight, it'll float, and then you go to explain about solid water. And these things are great. And listen, you wouldn't believe the amount of simulators. It's ridiculous, the amount of simulators. Right now it's like 400 and something. And let me show you something. Density again. Density. They know not only do they have simulations, but they have activities based on those simulations. So you don't even have to create an activity. You download the activity, you print it out, you assign the simulator on Google Classroom. Boom, that's your student. Leave it. So it's pretty good. Go to Phet Simulations. I am registered. It's free. I don't really. I think that registration for them is a way of I don't know, because by registering I didn't get anything additional. Anyway, just go. Flocabulary. Now I used Flocabulary when it was not free. It was not free. It's not free. It's just that the district paid for it. So if you go to Clever again, you can see that we have an account for Flocabulary. And I was pleasantly surprised when I logged in for the first time that the district took care of our classes. All of my classes were there, set up, and it upgrades. It updates. When a student leaves, it quickly updates. They didn't do that with Google Classroom. I had to set up my Google Classroom by inviting my students. So I don't know. Anyway, for those of you who haven't used Flocabulary, it's pretty good. It's electricity, and it has improved so much from what they started out being. So it's music videos, but it's not music videos. It's music. It's teaching through music. So you click here, you have a video, cool beat. These are cool beats, not Brainpop songs. These are cool beats. And they have added a lot of activities like vocab cards, vocab games. They're really into these vocab games. Read and response, the quiz, a lyrics lab where they can actually write their own lyric to the beat. So, for example, this is.
Yeah. So electricity is the energy produced by electrons, and a current is the flow of electrical.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I highly recommend it. Again, this is not a way to teach. This is not a way of teaching about electricity. This is just a way of expanding their knowledge. You can use it for the expand part of 5e or the, yeah, for the expand part. Okay, so Flocabulary, Generation Genius. Okay, let's talk about Generation Genius. Generation Genius, it's not TICS based. It's based on the next generation standards. But I have found that it is pretty cool. As you can see, I'm on a free trial. I'm waiting to ask my administrator to see if she can buy my subscription. Is $95 for one teacher for 3 devices for 1 year. So if I am subscribed, I can assign all of their activities on 3 computers to 3 students, and that'll be enough for me. So, for example, let's talk about. By the way, this generation's Bill Nye. Because these are collections of science videos, pretty much like the ones from Bill Nye, but they added a lot of activities and stuff that they can do with the videos. For example, balance and unbalanced forces. You click here, it takes you to a video. Oh man, my computer is really slow. Sorry about that. You know what? I can start closing. Let me hold on. You see, this is what I meant when I told you that I wasn't gonna. Oh shoot. Okay. So this is the video. Oh, and it's from an STA, so.
Hey Zoe, I found your fire extinguisher. What is that?
What does it look like?
My dad's attempt at putting furniture together?
Oh.
So it's a video. It lasts. They last anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And as you can see here, you have discussion questions for before the video and after the video. You have vocabulary, DIY activity guide, lesson plan, teacher guide, assessment. I mean, it's for $95 a year. It's pretty good. I mean, I'll probably end up paying it for myself if I shouldn't have said that. To my administrator, if you hear this, I didn't say that. Okay, so it's pretty good. You should check this out. Let me start closing things here to see if I can. We saw Google Classroom, we saw Learning Farm, we saw Phet, Flocabulary, and Generation Genius. Okay, so let's go to Plickers. Okay, Plickers, it's been around for a while. I didn't know about Plickers until Miss Yao from our campus introduced me to them. It's pretty cool. I mean, we got into it. We got into them because we don't have clickers anymore. But actually, they're even more engaging than clickers, I would say. So Plickers stands for it's a play on words of pictures and clickers. They're picture clickers. So how they work, I'm gonna log in here, but I shouldn't because there's not really much to see. It's just my classes and a couple of things that I've done. So this is what Plickers is, right? You're gonna be given a set of cards with some scantrons, and if the student holds the scantron one way, it's A, B, C, and D. So you can project questions, multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D, and then train them to think about the question and then hold the paper or hold the card in the way that reflects their answer. And then with your phone, you scan and you get this nice bar graph here of how they are performing. I was leery about these. I didn't think that it would work well. It does. This sucker works really good. The scanning is quick, it's fast, and it has a bit of a learning curve. But once you begin to use it once or twice a day in your classroom, it goes really fast, and it's really productive time. Again, this is not. I wouldn't use this like more than once in a day, because it does take a little bit of time. You know, between the time that you take giving out the cards and bringing the whole thing up, but it's awesome. I use it every day. So let's close this. Let's close Generation Genius. Let's close Plickers. Okay, and then let's go to Zipgrade. This is Mr. Garcia introduced me to Zipgrade. This is a way of scanning test bubble sheets. We know that that we lost that with all learning, and we do have the same thing with Power School. But I don't know if you've had the same situation that I have. But I mean, I haven't been able. And listen, guys, I'm trying to keep an open mind, but it's so convoluted and so not user friendly that I just open up Power School and I just close it right away. So I'm using Zipgrade to print out bubble sheets, create keys, and have my students fill out those bubble sheets so that I can scan with my phone. Again, it works awesome. It works pretty good. Let me log in here. It gives you stats. What? Bad request. What are you talking about? Okay, so here we go. I have one quiz. For example, it gives you the stats. It gives you percentages of, deviation percentages, what students chose, which answer choice. It's pretty good. It's pretty fast. As long as you tweak the settings, boom, you put your scan with your phone, you get your data. Now, here's the thing. The free version includes only 100 scans per month. For someone who is self-contained and only has one group or maybe two groups, that could work. I see every single fifth grader. So if I plan to use this as my main grading tool, then I have to pay the subscription. But it's $7 for a year and gives you unlimited scans. So I went ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and pay the subscription. Okay, so there you go. Plickers and Zipgrade. Okay, Weebly Interactive for science and math. If you are not going to Weebly, you need to. This is pretty much like Phet, only these are not simulators. It's a collection of activities, games, and online stuff that you can assign. It's been out for a while as well. Now here's the one thing about it. I don't know, a lot of them crash and don't work, but a lot of them do. For example, I'm gonna go to science. I use science a lot, quite extensively. I'm gonna go to float or sink. Float or sink. Let's do this one. Oh, you see? It's telling me, my computer is telling me that the flash link, it's broken, which it's not. It's not broken. I know what's going on. Oh, they have the Phet one. I know what's happening. It's just that, okay. Allow. Okay, so there we go. So this is one of the
A big
activities.
tugboat floats in water. Will a pumpkin float in water? Floating and sinking are properties of an object. Will a pumpkin float in water? Will a pumpkin float in water?
Shut up.
What about the other objects? Will a pumpkin float in water? The basketball is filled with air. The pumpkin seems heavy.
Anyway,
The ball of clay does not.
there are a collection of activities that you can assign. But if I were you, I would use them with care, and I would make sure that they can run in the computers that you're running them before assigning them, because it can get quite frustrating. But I mean, some of these are really, really good, and the kids really, really are into them. I'm looking for the one that I use. Oh, this one is pretty good. Animal adaptations. Let me see. 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 Let me see if this one works. Run. Okay. Oh, this one is the same.
How do long ears help a jackrabbit?
I'm doing what they're not supposed to do. Just not reading the good. So anyway, you should check them out. A lot of them do run. I'm sure that I don't have my computer updated. Okay, so Weebly. Now, Education Galaxy. Education Galaxy, I mean, you should know of it by now. A lot of schools have Education Galaxy. I was fortunate to have it this year. It's great because you can, what? Okay. Okay, login with Clever. Anyway, it's what? It's pretty much like Learning Farm, but it's more complete. Where is Education Galaxy? Is it here? I don't see Education Galaxy here. Anyway, I wonder why it's not letting me in. It's a way of it's a way of assigning work to students. Does it have a? No, it's login with Clever. Huh. Okay, so anyway, it's yet another resource that you can use to assign work to their students. I mainly use Education Galaxy not as a way for them to learn, but for the assessments. Okay, I assign quizzes and tests and all of that with Education Galaxy. Okay, next one, Readworks. This is good and it's free. You gotta get on Readworks. Now again, the paid version allows you to create classes and stuff, but I mean this stuff is pretty cool. For example, density. I'm using density a lot. So density, it gives you this is 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 8th grade, 5th grade. Talk about dense. Okay, so if you click, it gives you a reading part that they actually read to the student, and you can assign the vocabulary, so they review the vocabulary and the question set, and they answer here. Now, if you don't have the paid version, well, let me see. Shoot, no, actually you can. Go, log in, get an account, because you can set your classes from Google Classroom, and you can assign with a code. So I'm sorry, I haven't even used this year, but it's pretty good. The way that I use it is for whenever I have a sub, whenever I have to be absent for X or Y reason, I go here, I find reading texts, articles with question sets, and I print I go for print and I print the PDFs. And I print the article, the vocabulary if I want, and the comprehension questions, and I assign reading works or reading chores to them. So anyway, it's pretty cool, pretty good. And this is not only for science. I mean, they have everything. Okay, Kahoot, I'm not going to talk about Kahoot, except to say that they have, I mean, because now they do have competition, they have stepped up and they have included a lot of things that allow you to tweak and make it even more engaging than it is. I still use it from every now and then because it is engaging. It is pretty good. I mean, pretty engaging. The only problem with Kahoot is that you have to have a device for each one of your students. So I use it in small group settings. But the reason why I don't use Kahoot as much as I did is because I use these two quite extensively now, Quizizz and Quizlet. If you are not on these, you gotta get on them, especially Quizlet. Quizizz is pretty much like Kahoot, but it does give you a lot of more options, and it is a little bit more engaging. And you can assign individual work. They can play solo games, which is pretty good, and you can't do that with Kahoot. And then Quizlet, this thing is a power app. I'm gonna log in here so you can see pretty quick. Okay, so for example, you can create your own study set, but you don't have to. I mean, this is a community of solubility. Okay, so if you look for solubility, come on, man. Okay. Oh, sorry. Solubility. It gives you, for example, you have, let's look for the study set. These are the study sets because you also have diagrams and full classes that you can use. But I oftentimes use only study sets and diagrams. So let's go to solubility here. So this is a study set for solubility. You start with flashcards. Okay, this is for vocabulary. Solution, boom. How great is that? And so you can go through all 27 of these cards. And then they go to learn, where they actually answer questions based on the vocabulary that they just did. Then they can go to the writing piece, to the spelling piece for the bilingual students. You can add a test. You can play the match game. They love the match game and the gravity game as well. So I mean, this is a whole class. This is a whole lesson that you can use. So you gotta get on Quizlet. Okay. Classflow. Now, Classflow I don't use anymore. It is a fantastic resource that I used in my previous campus because I kind of had a digital classroom in my previous classroom. In the sense that every student had a tablet, but because the cart was mine, the cow was mine, but those tablets sucked. But this is what you want to use if you have a completely digital classroom with a digital board like a Promethean or even a projector that you can use set up digitally, and each of your students has a device, because this is where you can make notes and ask questions and then swipe them into their devices. It's pretty awesome. This is what they were using at Ron Clark Academy when we went there to visit. Every teacher had a Promethean board and every kid had a tablet, and they would just create slideshows, interactive slideshows where you could actually write and comment, and they would share between one another. And it's free. This is a free based thing that, if you have a completely digital classroom, you can use this. Okay, I think we're finishing up. These four, well, I'm going to talk about National Geographic, Howtosmile, and Curiosity Stream. These are just websites for you to look for information, maybe assign them as a solo project. Obviously, National Geographic, these guys are awesome. Erosion. If you write erosion, It's going to bring you a wealth of articles and collection of photographs. I mean, how great is this? I remember when I first started, I would navigate Google looking for photos and pasting them on a PowerPoint so that they can visually learn what the concepts were. Man, you go here and they have tons of high quality, I mean, beautiful photographs that you can assign, and you can even write questions about them. So if you go here, it gives them examples, right, with a caption. You have to train them to learn to read the captions, because otherwise they're gonna just click away. And then it has a small article that they can read and vocabulary that they can study. You can assign this through Google Classroom or print it out. So it's a pretty good resource. Howtosmile is pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. You look for something, but these are activities. For example, erosion. Erosion is going to give you an activity, identifying erosion, right? It's telling you, this is not what they charge for it. It's telling you that to do this activity with them, it's going to cost you around $20 per group. And how great is this? Look, you click on the activity, and it gives you everything. It gives you an introduction, the preparation time, learning time, estimated material costs, age range, resource types, and language. And then you go here, go to activity, and it gives you the PDF for the activity. I mean, I use this mainly for creating labs. So it's pretty good resource. And the last one is Curiosity Stream. I'm pretty sure that some of you have your memberships to this. This is just a video documentary collection. Okay, these guys are great. Now, these are not short videos. These are videos that last an hour and a half. So let me tell you how I do this. Every year I have 1 or 2 students that are, on another level, intellectually. So whenever we were doing Genius Hour project, or whenever we were doing, or if I needed that, if that kid knew everything, and I wanted him to do something that he really enjoyed, I would ask, okay, what do you want to know about? Oh, I want to know about, I don't know, the space robot revolution. Okay, so I assigned this documentary. I had him or her watch the documentary in 1 or 2 consecutive days, and then create a Google Slides project on or presentation on the whole documentary. I mean, they love that kind of stuff. But I'm talking about the really high students, because this is it's more of a middle school, high school kind of resource, but you can still use them for that. Now, watch the documentaries first, because I made the mistake one time a few years ago of assigning one without watching it, and man, did I regret that, because it had some pretty impacting, pretty harsh visuals, and the kid just got all messed up. I mean, it was nothing bad, but it was about a volcanic eruption, and they were really good in recreating it to the point where they almost did a horror movie. So anyway, watch them first. Okay, so finally, Gizmos. I don't use Gizmos anymore because it has become ridiculously expensive, but I did use them, and they are great. These are also simulators. For example, I have here a demo. They give you 5 minutes of daily demo. So if you launch it, I mean, but these are high quality ones. These are really, really good simulators. You can poop, and how great is that? How great is this? Ooh. How great is this, man? So anyway, this is just one. They have, it's a wealth of of simulators. So if you can get your administrator to buy a subscription, do it. It's expensive. I don't even know how expensive it is, but man, if I could ask for it, I would. It's just that I want other stuff, and I'm holding, holding for what I want. Okay, so I think with that we finished the digital resources. Literary resources, I'm not going to talk about a lot. Obviously, I have the Fusion book. I didn't even put it here. I use it. I use the inquiry flip charts. It's not my main source of information, but I do use them. I use the STEMScopes textbooks. I purchased them for a reason. They're really good, and I do use them. Oh yeah, I did put Fusion here. Mentoring Minds. If you don't use Mentoring Minds, I truly advise you to. It's expensive. It's hugely expensive. So what I do, I usually ask my administrator to purchase a box for me, and then I make copies. What a lot of people don't know about the mentoring, the way the way the units. This is not a textbook. This is an activity and question book. And the reason why so many of us like it is because of the rigor of the questions. I mean, these questions are like really rigorous. But here's the secret. When they start a unit, for example, circuits, the first 5 questions, if you look at the first 5 questions they have on circuits, they're really simple. And you read them and you say, for real? I mean, they have a lot of visuals, it's like 3rd, 4th grade. But as you start flipping the pages, the questions increase. So it's like they scaffold the rigor in their questions by the last 5 or 6 questions on the unit. I mean, these questions are entirely application questions, all words. I mean, all words and charts, tables, graphs, and sometimes I even have to read and reread some of them. So my expectation always is that the majority of my students can tackle those 5 or 6 questions at the end of each unit. So this is how I teach many of my or how I use this resource. For example, when I first tackle a subject, let's say light energy. I haven't touched light energy for anything. They don't know anything about light energy. But I have unpacked the TIC already, and I know exactly what they need to know, not only by unpacking the TIC, but because analyzing every single question from 2013 on light energy. So I already know what I need them to master, right? And among everything, I know that reflection is the easiest concept that I can teach. So I go ahead and I introduce light with a whole group instruction of 5 to 7 minutes, blah, and I give them exact. I don't go into details. This is reflection. This is what happens when you have reflection. This is how you see it, blah, with a lot of visuals. 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and then I take that first page of questions, easy questions, and I give them out. That gives me a baseline of how well they are in understanding the most basic concept. Okay, and then I start building from there. That's how I use this resource a lot of times. Okay, science probes. If you don't use science probes, I highly recommend it. It's a collection of books. They're expensive, so if you can get your administrator to pay for them, good. It's basically activities, and it's an inquiry-based book. They aim to teach the kid by having the kid ask himself or herself questions and explore through an inquiry paradigm. So they're pretty good. They're very, very good, but they're expensive. 1 minute series, 1 minute mysteries. I highly recommend them. They're cheap and they're really good for engaging. Now let me give you the story really quick. This girl would always go to her father with the complaint that she didn't understand the lessons from the teacher. And the father had a knack for creating stories, fictional stories, right off the bat. and embedding the concept within that story. So the girl grew up and they became writers. And they have authored a collection of books called short mysteries you can solve with science, short mysteries you can solve with math. There's short mysteries you can solve. There's more than one volume. Short mysteries that you can solve with social studies. I mean, they have a ton of them, and they all belong to the series 1 Minute Mysteries. All of them are good. These are short stories. I'm talking about 2-3 paragraph stories with a beginning, middle, and end. And the science ones have the concept embedded within the story. So each story ends at a point where the students have to apply the knowledge that they have on that concept to figure out what the characters did. I mean, how great is that? Come on, why I didn't think of that? So, for example, erosion, right? They make up a story about, I don't know, I don't even remember, but they stop short of explaining how they solve the problem through erosion. And so when you flip the page, there's a series of questions in the back that you ask to prompt the students to think, okay, wait, so I know this, and so maybe they applied this to solve the problem. So these are good stories to tell in reviews, or once they know the basics of a story, of a concept, because these are application stories or application scenarios. So anyway, buy them. It's really good. I have them all. Teachers pay teachers. Hey, I use them a lot. I have my own store, but I'm not making money. But Science Penguin and Science Doodles, I use them a lot. Science Doodles, I like them, but I don't. I like it. I use them, but not as often as Science Penguin. I use a lot of the Science Penguin resources. Finally, miscellaneous things that I do. Breakout EDU. This is a great thing. If you can, excuse me, if you can, go to Breakout EDU, learn what is it that they do, and then do it yourself. I mean, they have a kit. It's expensive, but I bought everything from Amazon, and I do my own thing. This is basically where I have a toolbox, right? And I have a multi-lock hatch or multi-lock clamp that you can actually put a lot of locks in it. And I bought like 5 different locks, each one with a different. These are combination locks, letter combination locks, number combination locks, word combination locks, directional combination locks. There's another one. Anyway, I create worksheets mainly based on vocabulary, right? And so each word that they have to provide on a blank space or spell has a piece of the combination for one of the locks written in invisible ink, right? And as they work together in a group solving the worksheets with a UV flashlight, they start annotating. It's like Escape's Room. They start annotating the combination for the locks until they open the whole box and they can get the candy or whatever I put inside. I tweaked it for my own thing, so I do my own thing with it. Okay, I think we're done. I already talked about oral administration with computers. I do this every time I have to offer oral administration, and then I don't have to sit down and read with my students. For those of you new teachers, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Do as many labs as you can and want. But here's a piece of advice. Every single experimental question star, do it. You can do it as a demo, or you can do it as I don't have time to do all of them, with all of the students. So what I do is I demo every single one of them. Go through the release stars. Those questions that have experiments in them, experimental questions, prepare that experiment, okay? So they can see it, every one of them, each one of them, That's the best advice I can give you. And then use lead forward. I mean, I'm sure you know about lead forward. Sometimes I don't even know why we have all the other resources that we have. These guys are awesome. So anyway, I took a lot more than I thought I would take, but I hope that this was that this is good. I hope that this helped people. And anyway, if you have any other resources, put them up, put them down in the comments. And remember, I'm gonna put timestamps so that you can travel through this video to whichever resource you wanna check out. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you around.